your business. So Empire Fencing, keep doing what you're doing. You know, I got all these little Rickyisms that I like to talk about. But tonight, I'm going to use one of my classics, one that's dear to my heart, and it's called humility. Humble. A lot of times when you're humble and you're grateful for what you have, I think a lot of times people mistake that for something else. It's been very hard for me to convince some people the value in being humble. But I got help tonight. I ain't even worried about it because my guest, she's going to make sure that you understand the value of humility. And she's a spiritual person, which even makes it better. So Maggie Thorne, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Ricky C. Simmons. Besides the happiest, the humblest person. I know.
Absolutely. I think, now this is just me. So y'all need to put your seatbelts on tonight because Maggie Thorne's in the house and she's got more energy than you can believe.
Our seatbelts are clearly from the 80s. We only did the waist buckle. I'm just going to be clear.
Hey, but listen, this young lady has been a dear friend for over a decade. And I've said this to her 100 times, but I love giving people their flowers while they're here. You know, a lot of times we wait till after the fact and we want to sit up and talk about all the nice things that people do. I have called Maggie several times and I've yet to get a no. And for that, I'm truly appreciative. And I'm very grateful for that because she's a busy lady and y'all finna find out. So Maggie, for the people that don't know you, who is Maggie Thorne?
Maggie Thorne, who is someone who typically keeps her phone on silent, except for Ricky Simmons.
What? Man, I'm like, I'm moving on up in the world.
Yeah, everyone else goes to voicemail. I just want to be clear.
Man, making me feel good about me. Love that. Thank you.
Maggie Thorne, first of all, thank you for the great introduction. And for anyone who doesn't know, and I don't know if I've shared this with you, my real name is Magdalena.
Magdalena. Never knew that.
It's something that I didn't really like for a long time. And part of it was just because of my childhood. And as I've grown older and into my truest self and really let God work on my heart and move into real, true heart surrender, I've come time and time again to call myself Magdalena once again.
That's what's up.
There's a new fact for you.
See that? I'm learning something tonight too.
Tuck it in the Ricky pocket.
I got it. It's already tucked away. I appreciate you being transparent with me because I never knew that. And I've been knowing you for over 10 years. I think we met in 13, I want to say.
Yes, sir. 2013.
Yeah. So and I just now found that out in 2025. I should be feeling some kind of way.
The only people who have known that to date are the stalkers. So now, and you. I grew up in San Diego and a low-income home. My brothers were in and out of jail, high school dropouts. And by the age of 12, I really didn't have a lot of hope in my life. And a lot of that was just everything was chaos, constant chaos and fighting and arguing. And that was normal. And I didn't know what normal was. I hadn't been around a lot of healthy homes. The ones that did seem healthy to me, I realized, wow, I'm kind of drawn to this, but I don't understand why. And I didn't play a single sport. And then it was in high school, teacher in PE, thought I looked fast, got a letter in the mail, try out for the track team and tried out, went on and found out, hey, I can hurdle. And just a big part of God's story for my life. But that led to being the state champion in California in the 100 hurdles, which got me on Nebraska's radar, and I got a full ride to Nebraska. Came as a heptathlete. Actually, I did a heptathlon once in California, ended up winning. And Nebraska's like, well, you've never trained for this, and that's your first 400. And it was just kind of as I just tried thing, and I put myself all in every scenario, my heart, all of me. You'd be surprised what happens instead of also talking myself out of it, saying, I've never done this or I haven't trained for it. I was like, well, let's try this. And that really turned into something for Nebraska. Turns out I wasn't a heptathlete, though. They did turn me into a 400 hurdler, which is my favorite event to this day.
Well, Maggie, I'm going to say this. You are being humble because I know you accomplished quite a bit in Nebraska. So I don't know why you're holding back. I want them to know what you accomplished at Nebraska.
At Nebraska, I had the privilege of being a track and field team captain and made it to the national championships indoors and outdoors. We broke a school record in the distance medley relay. I ran the 400 leg of that. Made it, and we were actually Big 12 champions when the Big 12 was still like regional in the Big 12. And that was such an honor at that time. And then went on to be not only all team Big 12, but academic Big 12. So I turned my GPA around from how I grew up from a 1.96 to 3.96 and made it to the national championships in the 400 hurdles as well.
See, I told y'all she was being humble, but that's okay. I already knew that, but I know how to ask these questions so we get with some more information out of Maggie. Maggie don't like to brag, but I think the things that she's accomplished is inspiring, especially for our youth. There are a lot of kids out here that probably had a similar situation growing up, that wasn't so favorable. And basically, you turned a very slow start into something very positive. And I remember the one story that you told was you couldn't even afford shoes.
Yeah, the very first day I ever showed up for track practice, all I had was street shoes. And the coach was like, "You should get running shoes." I was like, "Aren't these running shoes?" I had no idea, just no idea what sports was, what running or any equipment was. And it actually took us a couple months until I could afford a pair of shoes, pair of running shoes, just for where my family stood financially. And so I
Yeah.
had my little street shoes that I trained in. And that was a big part of my life because I never forgot that feeling of showing up. People being like, "Don't you have the right shoes?" I was like, "Oh, ha, ha, ha." And later in my life, which we can get to that, but it led to a large advocacy, a global advocacy, actually for a nonprofit, Souls for Souls, where I got to help give shoes and give love. And it was really through the simple gift of shoes because I was that kid at one time who I just needed opportunity. Now, someone didn't donate those shoes to me. My family had to save up for it. And it really, like a couple months, I was just in my street shoes. And it was something that was so impactful. And then also advocacy for the teacher who spoke up on my behalf. They saw something in me and it told someone else. And then I got a letter, and we should all do that. Like we all have to speak on others' behalf, and we have to do
Right.
it boldly and kind of wildly, I think, in a way that even if you see a stranger and you see something in them, be like, "Hey, I just really saw this in you, and I thought I should tell you." And you don't know what that's going to do. And I've met people who, to be quite honest, maybe I said something to them 5 years ago,
Correct.
and they'll come up to me like, "I don't know if you remember, but you told me this,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what happened." And I was like, I actually don't, but I'm so glad that you're sharing this now." And I always have to ask myself, who's my one? You and I, we do a lot of events, we meet a lot of people, and it's not
Correct.
a numbers game. I could be
Right.
in a room of 50 or 5,000, and I've been in both.
Right.
And there's just always one goal I have, and that's who's my one. I want, if the end of today I can just impact one person, how great would that be? And that could be walking in a shopping store and picking something off the ground so, like, a worker has less on their plate that night, right?
Right. Right.
And so it can be all the small things.
Well, I've watched since I've met you. I've watched the things that you attach yourself to, and it's like it's kind of strange, but it's like when you recommend somebody to me, for example, I don't really think twice
Mm,
because I know who you are and I know that you know who I am. And for you to even mention them to me, you've already done the hard part because I respect what you stand for.
thank you.
And what you stand for, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that may not quite understand it. And what I mean by that is I ran into this quite often, especially early on when I started this journey I'm on now. Uh, the first year, I used to get these questions like, "Man, how can you be so? How can every day be another day in paradise? How can
Mm,
how can you be happy every day? Get your happy on, da 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 da." And I mean, 16 years later, I'm still singing the same song. Uh, I understand the value in being positive. I understand the value in trying to help someone.
Yeah.
To me, those are very, very important things, but we just seem like we've dropped the ball in a lot of areas when it comes to that, you know. But I noticed that just as hard as I fight that fight, you fighting right there just as hard, if not harder. And I admire that because I know what it takes to do it. And I
Yeah,
also
you
know
do.
that it doesn't come with a lot of encouragement back to you. It doesn't come with a lot of pats on the back. It's more about people almost sitting back with the giving the impression that they waiting on something bad to happen or waiting on you to fail. And I mean, I love your slogan, never give up, because I've used that several times and I've added on to it by saying my quit button's broke. I don't know how to quit.
Those are the people I just really hope to meet. Someone gave me a coffee mug at one time and it said "Tears of my haters." It was just a joke,
Mm-hmm.
but I looked at it and I was like, "Gosh, they're not haters. They're just hurting."
Right.
And anyone who's ever thought, which they have, and that's just fine. They're like, "Yeah, you just like want the accolades." I was like, "I get hate mail." Like if when you're on global television,
Right.
and if you think that's what it is, and so if you're going for accolades, of course you're going to be disappointed. Like you
Right.
have to have purpose behind it. And
Right.
thank goodness for the people who question you or say you shouldn't do it, because the number one person you always have to have an answer for is yourself.
Correct.
You have to look in the mirror and say, "Yeah, I believe in this." And I've been in that scenario in which you'd be surprised that I would be by now, but I still am. As people are like, "I don't know if you should do that." And I'm like, "Well, I appreciate your opinion. I know what I'm supposed to do." And that's for me how I know how to be quiet. And I've stayed true to myself and focused. And when you have been to the darkest parts of your life, and whether it's a literal cell or a figurative cell, and you're in the dark and you're on your knees and you've literally been at bottom, there's only one way up every single day, and that's another day in paradise and
Mm-hmm.
get your happy on. Or for me, motivation to go to help people, because
Right.
I would never want someone to feel like I have in those darkest moments. And that fuels me every day. I've lost two people in my life. It was a difficult time, and I've always wondered, like, what did they feel in that moment? Like, and what if I could just make one person feel loved today? And doesn't mean we don't go through our own moments of that, right? But that's where when some of that stuff comes at me, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm inspired even more today by your disbelief. Thank you. Because it's just gonna happen,
You know,
right?
I was just thinking about someone you were saying that. That is actually motivation at the highest level.
Mm.
When people doubt you, that should give you an inspiration. Because if you think about what I'm about to say, it makes a lot of sense. When is the last time, you don't need to answer this one, but just think about it. When is the last time you saw someone that wasn't doing anything and you were like, I wish I could be like them? It doesn't happen. People only talk about things that they either envy or they don't have the courage to do themselves. So when people quit talking about you, that's when you need to start worrying, in my opinion. I think it's important that you continue doing what you're doing. And speaking of that, I gotta switch gears for a second.
Switch gears, sir.
Maggie, you now correct me if I'm wrong. I might not have this in the right order, but I'm gonna say this. You went from cleaning the stadium to building $1 million projects. And even after that, you done some pageantry work.
Yes, sir. I was a student worker and on the grounds crew for the Nebraska Athletic Department, which means I was essentially a custodian. And I went on to design and manage the facilities I cleaned for over 10 years, helping to build Pinnacle Bank Arena, the East Stadium expansion, Devaney Center renovations, the Hendricks Training Complex, $340 million in projects. And I have
Wow.
personally wiped down every bleacher in Memorial Stadium. I've vacuumed every suite. And it was one of those things where Boyd Epley, who was my boss at the time, He heard about this girl who didn't like breaks. I had this fanny pack with snacks in it, and everyone was like, "Why don't you like to take breaks?" I just want to keep going. I like motion. I like movement. And even if I was scraping up pizza, my heart is in everything that I do, and it was noticed. And Boyd said, "What do you want to do with your life?" And I said, "I don't know, Boyd, but I know one thing: I'll never be in a suit, and I'll never be in an office." And I spent the next 10 years in a suit in an office, and I learned you don't say never. And also just to have great mentors. Boyd really saw something in me. Instead of trying to talk me out of it, he just said, "Hmm." And then he would give me projects. Like, he saw something in me I couldn't see yet, but he helped me unlock it. And it was just giving me opportunity.
Right.
And then I just took the opportunity, and it came down that job to a gentleman who had a master's degree in architecture, and I had a bachelor's degree in community health, and I had been the girl picking up trash, and I got the job. And as much as I love Nebraska athletics, after 10 years, on the day of my best friend's funeral, I felt called to build people and not buildings, and I quit. And everyone, I had not one person in my life that believed I should leave Nebraska athletics and told me I was ruining my life and I would never be successful again. And I became a professional athlete, and yes, did a global beauty pageant called Mrs. International.
See there, man. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Her quit button is broke too. I know she said never give up, but I gotta add her quit button broke to her list of things that I know about her. You know, speaking of this professional athlete, what you been competing in for the last almost a decade now?
You know, part of me wants to joke it's some kind of cooking show, but but I've been cooking it on American Ninja Warrior. Oh, I don't even know if that's how kids use the language cooking it, but I tried, guys, if my kids listen to this. So I've been on American Ninja Warrior for 8 seasons. I just finished my 8th season. We filmed in Las Vegas last September, but it just aired because it's the same producers who do Hell's Kitchen and American Gladiator. So they had a lot on their plate. So American Ninja Warrior, we filmed really early.
Okay.
And then it aired not this last Monday, but the Monday before. And I gave my go again at the course.
Well, you know, I want you to know 8 years of that competition alone is got to be demanding. But before we talk about that, I think in one of those seasons you had a really serious injury.
In my 5th season on the show, I had a brain injury.
Yeah.
I face planted on an obstacle that was it was padded for traction, not for padding. And it was when I fell and did that face plant, it was the equivalent of being in a car accident without an airbag, or if you're in a bike accident without a helmet. And the TBI was so severe that I almost broke my nose, almost bit my tongue off. My shoulders shifted 6 inches. I had Bell's palsy on the right side of my body for about 6 months. I couldn't turn my neck more than about an inch. I was put on restriction that I couldn't drive for more than an hour. I was no longer at that time allowed to like play sports with my kids, and I retired from sports at that time for good. I left American Ninja Warrior. It was very, very public because I was highly sought figure on the show at that time. I had a lot of great success. And so my world just stopped in
Now,
one moment.
when you say TBI, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's a traumatic brain injury.
Yes, traumatic brain injury.
And that took you a lot longer than you thought to recover from, right?
I was supposed to be in recovery for like 2 weeks. Then it turned into 2 months, and the 2 months turned into 6. And I was an outpatient for 1 year. And then I did have to go back at one point for just my vision has had a lot of difficulty over the years, to the point that during that 1 year of outpatient, which was 20 hours a week, 6 different specialists at Madonna Rehabilitation, I went blind. And it was when I went blind that I was like, okay, now that I can't see, what do I really need to see? And it was a time where the never give up was really gone from my spirit. I hated it. I told everybody, I was like, if I hear one more person, say never give up. And it was because I fought my way through all these other parts of my life, and I couldn't. It made me dead stop in my tracks. And what that brought was all the difficulty I went through, all that trauma, all these things from the time I was growing up until when I left California, which was a lot. I'd never dealt with any of it. And so there had been bubbling at the surface, but I was making myself so busy to not pay attention to it that I was forced to. And I went and filled up a bathtub and I screamed into it because I was afraid my neighbors would think I was being murdered. And I went back to Madonna and I said, I think I also need a counselor. And I said it smiling. And they're like, we're confused. And I was like, oh no, this is very uncomfortable for me right now. I'm letting you know I need help. And they're like, oh, we got it. And that was when I was like, okay, instead of just trying to get out of the worst of my life, I need to
Mhm.
decide who I'm going to be in the worst of it. And that's where it wasn't just saying never give up. I became never give up.
You know, I mean, Maggie, again, I can't even begin to say I know how you feel because I don't. I don't know what it's like to have a traumatic brain injury. I have no clue, but I do know one thing: never give up. I can see why that had to be something you had to become because just the things that I remember that you've shared with me in the past about all the process. I mean, you was having trouble with your vision, like you said. You
Mhm.
know, you lost your vision. Then when you got it back, it wasn't quite right, and they weren't. I mean, you were in a bad situation for a long time, but you figured out a way to not only get back to where you could function just on a normal level, you went back to competing.
Yes, sir. I was cooking eggs for my youngest, and we're standing there, and she goes, "Mom," this is the voice I give her. "Are you going back to American Ninja Warrior?" And I was like, "No, Ellie, I could get hurt," which is a very reasonable thing
Right,
and
right.
practical. And she goes, she put her hand on her tiny little hip. She goes, "Well, you tell everybody to never give up." And I was like, first of all, shh, well done. You've listened. Second of all, something really hit me in her words that I might live the rest of my life scared. Now, it truly is reasonable, and I wouldn't necessarily tell anybody who's had a severe TBI to go back to activity. I went through a very arduous process with the entire medical team saying, "I'm thinking about this. I'm
Mhm.
thinking about returning to American Ninja Warrior. Would I ever get cleared?" And as we went through that process, they're like, "Yep, we'd clear you. Here's your tests." And not only did I come back cleared by the entire medical team, but they were on my sidelines for when I made my
Wow.
first comeback for American Ninja Warrior. And I thought I was 100% ready, but just to be truthful, my first time back to set, because I am very visual. I have visual sensitivity and audio sensitivity now that I'll have for the rest of my life. And I wasn't ready for the lights on
Mm.
set yet. And so we were walking with everyone and I went to my knees and I started to sob, and that there's nothing I can do. That's just an automatic response actually now that has shifted from my life. But that was when I really realized, and thankfully there were so many sweet ninjas, a wonderful community. They were like, "Hey, don't worry about it. Like we'll block the lights from you. We've got it." But then it changed how I competed. And it still does, but I've adjusted to every part of it along the way. And that's where, all right, here's an obstacle. We have an obstacle on the course, and then I have a personal obstacle, but everything has a solution. So let's find our way through it.
Man, I mean, I'm impressed. Just, I mean, and I've heard you share this before, but every time I hear it, I get a little more inspired because you had so many valid reasons to just say, you know what, been there, done that. You know what's next. You didn't have to go back to competing, and you did. I mean, and I don't watch some of them episodes. Man, look at him. You can't go there and you not be ready. You
Yep.
Yeah, I mean you try to run one of them courses if you want to and you're not in shape, it's gonna show.
Well, but we have to show up to life ready.
Yeah.
And to me, that means the epitome of everything in health, physical, spiritual, emotional. Like I want to show up for the world. And that way, if opportunity does come my way at any time, which is what happened and why I returned again to Ninja Warrior last year, I wasn't going to compete. I got a call to come compete. They were bringing back fan favorites. And I calculated very quickly in my head, okay, doing some math. Yeah, I'm ready enough, to go back and compete again. And that's what I think we need to do in life.
Well, I'll say this. You you met your fears. I mean, you faced them and you went out there and you did what you do. I mean, that to me, that deserves credit. Personally, I mean, I'm not the type that's going to give up on what I believe, but when it comes to what you had to go through to get back, I don't know that I would have had that. So, I mean, that's impressive. And I want you to know that. I mean, because everybody can't do what everybody can do. And I'll be the first to admit, I done seen some of your workouts I know I couldn't do. So I told somebody the other day, if you see me running, you run. Because there's something very bad happening. There's a tragedy in progress somewhere. If Ricky's running, man, y'all run. We'll talk about why we're running when we stop.
The misnomer my friends have, I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. You want to work out with me? I'm like, okay, at the end, I do this thing called 5 minutes of around the world of plank. And in my mind, I'm like, no, it's not that bad. It's really fun. And about partway through, they're like, how would you ever describe this as fun? And I was like, I love being able to push. And so we might have different ideas of fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen some of those workouts, man. There's nothing. I got to agree with the people you were talking about, because I don't really see where the fun part is. But knowing you the way I know you, I can see it.
And we're all going to have some kind of trauma we
Right.
encounter. It doesn't mean it's going to be on American Ninja Warrior or traumatic brain injury. We can't necessarily put them on some kind of scale and say mine's worse and no, yours is harder, because we have to try to meet people where they're at. And part of my hope and prayer with what I do is that I just get to see these people and say, you know what? I'm just someone who doesn't, I truly I just get up and I keep going. There's nothing extraordinary. My workouts actually aren't that crazy. They're just consistent. And how can I help you unlock this part of you and you unlock this part of you, or find some little fire that maybe you've just needed to stoke a little bit to get going and say, yeah, I really want to take on this part of my life. Even if you fail, like you asked me about this season, my 8th season of American Ninja Warrior. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to come back and talk about that 8th season. Don't y'all go nowhere. This name's 3.7. The ticket is to get you happy on hour.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT, from cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important story.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit OakStreetCarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
Oak Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. think you've got what it takes. Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Attention all Wings fans. Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays, enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Breathe easier inside your home with Bryant. Eliminate allergens and odors and control humidity too. For a breath of fresh air, call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Back to the Get Your Happy On Hour, featuring former Husker receiver Ricky Simmons.
Hey, we back. Well, look here. I was talking with Maggie during the break, but I want y'all to really, really listen in to this, man, because this is pretty impressive. Season 8 of the American Ninja Warriors. Tell us about it.
Season 8 of American Ninja Warrior, I was the best shape I've actually ever been in my entire life, in my 43 years, soon to be 44. And it was ready. I was so focused. And even the gym that I train at, she's like, yeah, man, you're really looking good. And I felt good. And I had something going on in my life personally at that time. And I was wrestling with quite a bit of anxiety. And it wasn't the course that took me out. It really was just myself.
Mm-hmm.
And parts of me that I was still working to strengthen, still working to work through. And so like I was sitting on set and I was just so overwhelmed by it. I actually was like, and I would start to fall asleep. And my friends and the producers were like, Maggie. And I was like, yeah. And so when you watch it, I actually fell on the second obstacle and it's 100% my fault. Even though physically I was there, I'd say emotionally, I was maybe one of the least prepared I had been in my seasons. And it was hard because I was talking to one of my mentors a couple days later and I was like, I'm such a failure. He was like, hold on. All right, stop your pity party. And he's so great because he's really just straight to it, hard on me. I responded tough love well. And he was such an authority. He goes, all right, how many people didn't try out for the show? But you did. How many people didn't even make it up to the starting line? Maybe they even pulled out. And that happens. People make the show and then they pull out. And he said, you did. And you got up to the starting line and you made it past obstacle 1. I'm sure there's people that fell on obstacle 1. I was like, yeah. He goes, how many people fell on obstacle 2? Well, quite a few people. Well, all right. So is that a failure? No, that's not a failure. And it just reframed my mindset. And he was reminding me that you showed up, because I can get pretty hard on myself too.
Mm-hmm.
I think anyone who's a high level athlete,
Right.
it's kind of a necessity because you have to be self-driving. And it was just such a good reminder to me. And when I step back and really look at everything as a whole, I've been on for 8 seasons. I've had airtime for 8 seasons.
That's a
I've
lot.
had features, like big features on more than one show for, and like, I'm like, gosh, NBC has been so great. I'm so grateful. What a platform, what an opportunity. And what I've learned, if I haven't learned anything, is more people connect with the failure than they do with the success.
Yes.
Because the reality is we're all going to end up in a pool of water unexpectedly. And that's really what happened. Even as I watched it, I was like, gosh, I just don't really remember that. And I had some people who had helped record it on set. So I had the film to replay before NBC aired it. And as I watched it, I was like, that just doesn't connect with me. And that happens. And I just hope someone hears that, where they felt really prepared for something. It went not only not as expected, but worse than you could have imagined. But you tried and you showed up.
Right.
And what did I do from there? I was like, yeah, I guess I'm going to continue to be in the best shape that I know how. And I just competed actually in a competition for Red Bull, and it wiped it out of the water. Did really well. And I was like, nope, I think now I'm actually in the best shape of my life. And then tomorrow will be, and the next day. And so, and that's my goal, is to see where I can push those limits. And I still am very hungry for competition. It's before there was social media, before there were TV shows, I was a little girl in the backyard I built obstacle courses with like crowbars and dog houses, like whatever I could find. I've always been a resourceful person. I'm not afraid to pick things out of a trash. So it happens when you grow up without things. And I would just go through this imaginary challenge, and I've always pushed myself in that scenario. I race people on the playground. And so it's something where you could take away the TV show, you could take away all the social media, all the things, and I'm still going to be that person. Like, it's who I'm made to be, and we should show up that way in the world for what we're made to do.
You know, I second that. I think, first of all, it still shows me that you're very driven, and I can't emphasize this enough. Being self-motivated is a challenge, and you've probably been accused of the same things that I've been accused of. We tend to make it look easy, but it really isn't.
No.
There's nothing easy about it, you know. But the good thing is you're self-motivated. You know, I can identify with that. I know some people are and some people not, but the fact that you are, and I know I put myself in that same category, I think it's just important that we lead by example, you know, because sometimes people can tell you what you need to do, but it's different when you can actually show them or let them see a living example. You know, I use that mindset when I speak to different audiences, especially when I speak to the treatment audience. I go into residential treatment centers, and man, you know, you're sitting there looking at a room full of people that are struggling with addiction. And, you know, and a lot of times people feel like there's no hope.
Yep.
But when they hear the train wreck of a story that I tell about myself, which I stay up under the bus. So by the time I get done throwing myself under the bus, a lot of them come up to me afterwards and be like, man, hope you don't take this the wrong way. I'm like, nah, man, what's up? You know, man, if you can make it, I know there's hope for me.
What a beautiful thing.
And
Ricky.
to me, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Because everyone is wired a little different. I think that's why they call us individuals. I get that. But if you can inspire somebody, and Maggie, I know you do this because I've seen the proof. And I just want you to know that as much as you inspire people, I want to encourage you to continue doing that. Because when I see you doing it, then I feel like I'm not fighting this battle by myself. So I'm asking you publicly to keep doing what you're doing.
I'm going to shoot it right back at you and say, Ricky C. Simmons, I'm asking you publicly to keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, well, you know, my quit button broke. I can't stop, man. I mean, quitting is not an option for me. And I'm okay with that because, you know, the way I look at life is I kind of did things backwards, you know, in the normal sense of, if there's a such thing of normal
I
way.
was like, I don't know if there's a backwards or a normal.
Well, when I say that, I mean, like I retired first.
Yep.
Because of an addiction. And then when I finally figured it out, 25 years later, then I had to get busy. So that's what I mean by I did it backwards. You know, I went into this addiction like shortly after 3 years of pro football, I went into an addiction and I didn't get out of it until I was late 40s. And so I've been at this now for 16 years.
Now, here I was this whole time thinking we're the same age. You look 44.
Man, come on, man. You know what? Flattery gets you anywhere and everywhere. But I will say this. I am nowhere near my 40s. The next time I see 40 anything, 50 anything, I'll be 140 or 150. So that ain't it. But no, I feel good. You know what I mean? And I think a big part of the reason why I feel so good is because I know my purpose.
I want to encourage anyone listening right now. I would say I have felt similar in some ways where I hit a crossroad in my 40s. I'm in my 40s, about to be 44, where it could have gone one or two ways. Now, some
Mhm.
people call it midlife. Others could call it like, oh, maybe you're just in your first ego check. And I think it's necessary to go through processes where you have to find different whys, even. Was I ever driven by the accomplishment? Yeah, as a teenager, when I went from being unknown, bullied, picked on to the number one runner in California, and all of a sudden I'm athlete of the week. I'm in every newspaper, every TV show. I mean, I had a high number of accolades in high school. I was Teen Miss San Diego and award after award. And when you're not even receiving, that from home, it became my identity for sure.
Yes.
And then through different parts of my life, I was like, okay, once faith came into my life, I was like, how can I use these for good? But then on another side of it, I'm like, wow, now that I've really processed through some trauma and gone through all these other parts of work, I think shame can try to take you out and be like, nope, you're too late. And it's to this and it's to that. And that is just not true.
Right.
And as someone who, for us, like if we're on the other side of it or making our way through to look back and have grace and compassion for other people, like I think someone's story has their own necessity to go through the hard things.
Right.
And if I can be a gentle spirit to listen or say, like Boyd did to me when Boyd was like, you're going to waste, he never did he say, you're going to waste your time and you should do this and you should do that. Cause he knew the decision had to be mine.
Right.
And even as a parent, I tell my kids, I'm like, yep, I want you to know the choice is fully yours. If you are ready to commit to this next level, you come talk to me and we'll make a plan together, but I'm not going to make you, for whatever goals that they have. Like my son's year this year in track broke the state record in 300 hurdles, 3 gold medals at stake, broke the state meet record for the 400. That was him. And I said, if you would like advice for any of your races, you know where to get me. But otherwise, like this is your journey. I understand like who you have around you and I support you and I'm just there. And that's really how it went. And I loved watching him own his own journey. And so for all of my kids, that's where it is. And the people in my life where my hands are going to be out here, they're open. And I just want to love them with grace.
I think you've done a wonderful job too, because I mean, that's quite a balancing act, to do all the things that you've done with kids. I mean, Maggie, I know you don't want to hear this, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's amazing what you've accomplished. I think you've done it with so much grace that people take it for granted. They look at it like, oh, she's just a natural. No, she worked at that. I know you did. You ain't got to admit it to me because I know what it takes to compete. And you compete like, I don't know. I don't even know the right word for it, but your intensity on competing requires a lot of work. And you still got to be a mom.
I was watching something in an article, or watching because it wasn't an online article. And it was a video. It was talking about moms working and how it was so difficult on, number of things, XYZ. And one of my opinions of it is, well, don't separate your kids. What people haven't seen is all of these trips I've been on, all of American Ninja Warrior. When I'm on set, I would always tell the producers, like, I'll be there, but I'm going to have my kids with me. And so my kids were one of the first kids that they allowed on set. And I just had a line in the sand that this is my family. This is who we are. Like, we're a party of 4. This is us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a lot of videos I've never showed anyone, or it's probably won't make its way to social media, that they're in the background of B-roll. They're playing with cameras and all this life was just normal to them. And as my son has been going on his recruiting trips for college, they said, how hard was it for you to separate who you are and mom and coach from everything else. And I said, that's just it. I've never separated it. This is our lifestyle. Activity is our lifestyle. They've been around competition and sport at a high level, and it's normal. And so there's that piece of it. And even when I worked for Nebraska Athletics, the bosses that I had were so great if I needed to leave and pick my kids up from school. And that has been my number one priority is I want to take my kids to school and I want to pick them up. Doesn't always work out that way, but I actually structure my entire life around that because those are moments, their first moments, even if they're grumpy, angsty teenagers. But then I've let them go through their processes too. My son went through a couple years where he hated me, like sophomore, into freshman, sophomore year, maybe into his junior year a little bit. And I was like, I think I just need to let him. And I didn't try to talk him out of it. And I was just consistent. Consistent. I love you. I just want to and I spoke good things and his goodness. And then there's a time where he just wanted to all of a sudden be around me again and was with me almost every weekend his entire senior year.
Wow.
And it was one of those things where now we've started to talk about it. And the encouragement for parents too, like your kids have to go through their own process. And if we can make space for that, like that's an act of love for them too.
I just think it's amazing of what you've accomplished. We're going to take one more quick break, and we're going to come back and wrap the show up. Don't y'all go anywhere. This is 93.7 The Ticket. It's to get you happy on out.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Hey guys, you have heard about the Farrell's 10-week challenge for years on the ticket. If you still haven't joined us for this amazing challenge, what are you waiting for? You could be our next $1,000 winner like Derek, who just lost 30 pounds, 23 inches, and 8% body fat. Derek changed his life in the 10-week challenge, and so can you. Farrell's combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to get you the results you have been waiting for. Join us July 12th for the Summer 10-Week Challenge. Go to fxblincoln.com to enroll today.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Why are some people more successful? Is it talent and determination, or did they recognize an opportunity? Discover a career that lets you help families reach their financial goals as you build lasting professional relationships. One with unlimited income potential. From Modern Woodman, a leading fraternal financial services provider.
I'm Modern Woodman Regional Director Sean Erickson. Call me at 402-483-6515 to learn about career opportunities.
Modern Woodman of America. Touching lives, securing futures.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Back to the Get Your Happy On Hour, featuring former Husker receiver Ricky Simmons.
And we're back. Man, I got to be honest with you. I just got a text from Carla Walker, man. I appreciate you checking out the show. Hope your mom's doing well. I think we got some more people that tuned in. Bob, what's happening over there, man?
Yeah, Odie Lee on Facebook shouts out, "Cool shirt, little bro." So that's the second comment I've heard about your shirt today.
Oh, I appreciate y'all showing me love. I'm trying to look like somebody. Well, listen, again, I just want to thank everybody that takes time out of their busy schedule to check out the show, because to me, being grateful is very important. And I really want people to understand the value in being humble and being grateful, like I started the show off with. That's just really, really important. Maggie Thorne, just out of curiosity, if someone wanted to reach out to you, how do they go about doing that?
www.maggiethorne.com, MAGGITHORNE.com, or any social media channel.
Do not put an E on the end of Maggie.
Only on Thorne.
Only on Thorne. But no, again, Maggie, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come. I also want to know, is there anybody you want to shout out to?
You know, my kids, really, I'm so proud of who they are and this life that we've got to do together. And all three of them, for the first time, were in track this year. And they did so great. And kiddos, I'm so proud of you.
There you go. Well, you know, Maggie, again, I just want to say thank you. I never want to take anything for granted, but especially people that are doing things that I admire. So I don't really take anything for granted, but I have a special spot in my heart for people that are doing what you do, because it falls in line with what I'm doing. You're basically trying to help people. And to me, I think that's important, because my personal opinion, we live in a takedown society. That's just my opinion. But anyway, I got to ask my final question. Whenever Maggie Thorne gets a little bit of free time, how does Maggie Thorne get her happy on?
Maggie Thorne is writing a book to help empower people, and that is how I'm spending my free time right now.
What? Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Listen, I want to wrap my show the same way I do every week. Every day you blessed to sing. Just another day in paradise. And no matter what, you got to get your happy on. We'll see y'all next Sunday.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports venues to backyard installs and everything in between, coast to coast. We take on tough jobs with grit, integrity, and a strong commitment to safety. Empire is growing, and we're hiring motivated people ready to grow with us. We build each other up, and we're building something big. Think you've got what it takes? Apply now at empire-fence.com. That's empire-fence.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer. Usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red.
Hey guys, you have heard about the Farrell's 10-week challenge for years on the ticket. If you still haven't joined us for this amazing challenge, what are you waiting for? You could be our next $1,000 winner like Derek, who just lost 30 pounds, 23 inches, and 8% body fat. Derek changed his life in the 10-week challenge, and so can you. Farrell's combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to get you the results you have been waiting for. Join us July 12th for the Summer 10-Week Challenge. Go to fxblincoln.com to enroll today.
If you're a veteran, our nation has created a wide range of benefits to thank you for your service, but it can be difficult to navigate the process of determining eligibility, filing claims, appealing decisions, and securing the benefits you've earned. Speak to your county veteran service officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. These services are 100% free, so visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity?